So you just launched your first project and you want to manage the project settings, obviously, because you want to have an organized folder, you want to have an organized program. And one thing that I want to say to you is that don't ever confuse project settings that's sent right there on the right corner with Davinci Resolve preferences. Davinci Resolve preferences are the preferences of your program in your machine, and that's all about all your project and everything that stands on this machine. And this is, messing with this is different than messing with the project settings. So lots of people confuse them. This is about your machine. So talking about this, the first thing that you want to do is just open this by preferences, going into user and check this little guy on project save and load, this live save. Live save will create a live save at every click, and that's an incredible thing about Davinci Resolve. And you want to check it when you launch your first program on your machine, on every machine you're installing Davinci Resolve. So live save, first thing. So we have system and user, because you can have multiple users inside your Davinci Resolve. You want to start by the UE settings. You can leave it in English if you want to use it in English. We have all those different languages. We don't have Italian, by the way. Well, it's okay. And so these are all the options, your workspace option that you can check or decheck. You can just copy my settings if you're not really sure on what you're doing, but you can just take 10 minutes and read all this and know if this could work or not work with you. Then we have the project save and load, the editing room, and these are all our panels right there here. So if you want to use different time code, if you want automated smart bins, if you want to customize your general settings for every part of your projects, there you go. Maybe you're working on custom, editing room, or you are working for someone who wants to address all the timeline with a specific name or everything you want. You have to customize, this part. Then same thing on the metadata. I'm gonna talk about that too. Control panels if you want to make different changes there. But yeah, by the way, this is about all our sections. Jumping on system, we have the memory and GPU. Right now I'm recording this on a MacBook Pro collocated to external monitor, so you can configure your system memory there. And about the GPU processing mode, I'll leave it to auto. On the media storage, you want to save the program when you have to, or where we have to create folders with projects. So I have just the movies folder. Your decode options, just copy mine. Video and audio input output, everything you have is there. Audio plugins, control panels. This is everything from the project settings, normal project settings that you have. You can just copy mine. General internet accounts if you want to collocate your accounts. I don't usually upload my footage directly from the software, not because I don't trust the software, but just because it's handy for me to make it manually and then rename them. And then all the advanced settings, if the program have a bug, or if you want to customize something from something that maybe on the Blackmagic design forum said, you can just copy the code right there. And that's it for the program preferences. Then we're gonna jump in the project settings, so right there. And we have these two tools. One is this little project manager. We're gonna talk about that soon. It's about all your projects. And this one is about the project settings. So pressing about project settings, everything you need for this specific project is right there. So starting about presets. Presets is like I'm making some custom settings on the master setting, image scaling, blah, blah, blah. and I want to save them because I'm always working with that camera or with those cameras. After doing this, I can just jump into presets and save as or save, because we can import and export these presets, and just tell to the program that I want to use it, double click it, and it will launch up or your presets. Master settings is where you want to work mainly, because all the time maybe I'm editing a 60:9 or 2:39 footage. And the great thing about the Resolve is that you can mess up with FX, you can mess up with tracking, with everything you want, and right there you can just say I have an 8K DCI footage that by descaling it for 2 or for 4, it will be like using this timeline or this little 2K timeline or even this little 2K timeline. And you can even work it in a 17 by 418 timeline, and then upscaling it for the output, just telling to the output, hey, I have an 8K footage, don't use my little timeline, and everything will remain the same. This is obviously if you have a PC or a Mac that is not processing your footage in a really great way, and you want to edit on an HD timeline and maybe not being 4K. Maybe you have GH5 or a Canon C200 or whatever, and you're working with a 4K footage. You can set up even your timeline to half of the quality at 2K, and then editing everything and telling to the output, and we're gonna look at that in the end deliver section, that we have a 4K footage and you want to deliver 4K. But this is one of the biggest tips for boosting up your performances. You have your obviously the frame rate, the playback frame rate, everything it's customizable, and you have the video monitoring. You want to leave it as it is or just copy and paste from me. If you have a 10-bit monitor, just say 10-bit. If you don't have it 8-bit, it's okay. Optimize media and render cache. If you're working with raw files or if you're working with really big files, you want to leave it to choose automatically, or if you want maybe to make it custom, half, quarter, 1/8. I leave it to choose automatically because the software is recognizing my machine and he knows where to place and what's the better codec to work on. So I leave it to ProRes 422, but maybe you can even change it to ProRes 422 proxy. It's faster, it's good, and enable background caching after 5 seconds. We're gonna talk about cache on another episode. Working folders, your cache clip, wherever you have it. If you want to trash everything, you know that you have to go in the file location and just trash everything. And obviously the frame interpolation. Then we have the image scaling. We're gonna talk about that, but obviously we want to leave it as it is. Then you have the color management. This is a big part for your project because you can decide to customize your color timelines by using Davinci IRGB color managed and saying it what's your input color space, what's the timeline color space, and then have a really clean workflow from the starting point to the deliver. You can also leave it as it is or working with ACES. I don't work with ACES a lot, but this is really cool too. But on the Davinci IRGB, you can leave it checked and then just saying, okay, I want to deliver a Rec 709 2.4 gamma, but I'm working with, I don't know, wherever your camera is, whatever you're using. I personally change this every time with Canon Cinema Gamut Log 3. Lots of people say to me, why the hell my H.264 it's that strange on the output? And that's the main thing, because you're saying to the program that your timeline by default is a Rec 709 timeline. You have to change it whatever you're using. So on this Project Zero, I'm not gonna touch it because we're not gonna use footage for this one. but yeah, you want to customize it there. Dolby Vision if you want to enable it. And by the way, here you have everything else you will need if you check the Davinci IRGB color managed. And you know, that's a great thing if you know what you're doing, and I'm going to travel you during this path on knowing what you're doing. But by the way, on 90% of project, if you're doing deliver for the web, you want to leave this unchecked on IRGB. But by the way, yeah, if you have to make a custom output for, I don't know, another program, maybe you're working with VFX guys, or you want to make an high-end output for cinemas or whatever, you want to change this. Then Dolby Vision, HDR10 Plus, if you're using it, you can check it. Lookup tables, if you want to select fast lookup tables, you can do that here. If you have some folders with your custom LUTs, you can just open that folder and drag them there, whatever it opens up. The broadcast safe, you know, whatever is your output, you want to change this. Normally it's to -20, -120. You can also check the make broadcast safe if you want to be safe and not clip and not going down with the blacks. All these LUTs, generate soft clip LUT, custom aim station, you can just copy that if you are creating LUT. This is my personal, you know, this is my personal settings for generating LUTs when I generate LUTs. And yeah, the analyze pattern when you want to generate a LUT. Then you have the general options for the program. You can just, you know, copy that, but I'm leaving this by default as the program leave it for me. When you are importing XML ADL files, you want to leave it as it is. If you want to, you know, conform partial clip with black gaps, for example, you can check it. If you want to make a custom name for the path name, you can check this, and yeah. But by the way, I want to leave it as it is. Camera raw, it's really important when you're working with raw. It's a different thing about the image color management settings on these color space and transforms, because right there you're saying to the program that your raw comes from these, you know, different raw presets. I remember like 6 years ago we had like our Alexa, Cinema DNG, and I think that this was custom users or something like. But yeah, we have all these little things updated to Davinci Resolve 16 right now. That's great. We want to change it on the role that we'll be using. Probably you'll be changing with those different lessons from Camera Raw to Cinema DNG or even Red. But yeah, right now I want to leave it as it is. You can also customize the resolution on how you're seeing them, but we can also tweak this on the color page, the decoding way. So just to let you know, if you're changing this, everything changes also down there. So yeah, by the way, Red have all his implementation that Canon doesn't have, that Blackmagic doesn't have. Every one of these is customized by cameras. So that's for your raw footage. Capture and playback, if you are capturing and, you know, making playbacks or footage. Subtitles, all the settings for the subtitles, and all the settings for Fairlight. You want to talk with your sound engineer or someone that is working with you in the audio for this, maybe, if you want to conform your timeline to their standards. And yeah, everything that you need to know about project settings is there. Again, don't ever confuse this with the preferences. These are really different things, and one, it will help you to achieve best results from your machine, for the program in your machine, and the other one, it's just all about the project itself. So We're gonna set up our project really soon on your projects. Just customize it as you want and then save your presets right there and load it whatever you want for every of your projects.